2, 3, 4.
Shoo up, my sugar, shoo up, my little butterbean.
Down, diddy, down, 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 diddy, diddy, down, diddy, down, down, do I do it, down, diddy, down, down, so pretty, down, diddy, down, down. Ain't it funny how fun love can be? Diddy, 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 down, diddy, down, 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 diddy, diddy, down, diddy, down, down. Whoa.
And welcome back to the Norfolk Knitting School. It's the 10th of December, and by the time the show is done and ready to go, to be on the TV and then also on YouTube, you still have enough time to make some Christmas gifts. I've got a bunch of things to show you today. Last time I mentioned that I had acquired mad cow disease because I was in here complaining about the cows and how I didn't like them. I think what I had seen that I didn't like was people were making them so they were just up under your neck like like one of those cervical collars, and people were making them with patterns on the cowl so that you want to see that. So that means it's got to be up around and not kind of loose. Well, I think the way to do it, and it's God knows much easier, is I've got one right here that I made, is garter stitch and a nice soft yarn. And what I've done here, I have some, I think this is actually merino wool. This is Valley yarn that I got at Webb's, and you can go online. It's yarn.com, and I put this little stripe in here. Actually, this is a different yarn. This is a yarn that my niece gave me. This is the Webb's. This is called Valley yarn. This is something she gave me, and then this is a rayon that I put with it. So as you see, I did the edging. That's the slip purlwise at the beginning of the stitch of the row, and I made sure that that you didn't see the back. Well, I could still bring some of these threads in, but this is the wrong side, obviously. So I have it this way. I did put one twist in it. So you would wear this in the back, and there's my seaming, and just sort of turn it around and put it over your head, and why not? So it's worn like this. And you'd want this to sort of come around like this. And you can do it this way. You can put it to the side, or you can take this. Oh gosh, I'm looking through. We're looking through the mirror here. Katie has to Katie has to switch this back around, but we're looking through a mirror on the top. And I don't know. I think it looks really cool, and it's comfortable, and it fills in. Now, I had said to somebody, what in the world do you do when you go in a store and you've got this hot thing around your head? Well, I'm willing to do this. So you just simply take it and you bring it up, and you've got sort of a crazy hat. And then you can adjust this different ways. I guess I got a good enough fit. So that is your cowl, and these are so easy to make, so inexpensive to make. You don't need to put a stripe in here like I did. I just thought it was kind of interesting. But what you do want to do, you're working in garter stitch, which is knit every row, you know that, and then you do want to do that slip. Well, here's something sticking out. This particular yarn here is difficult, and I used it, but it's very slippery, and when you're working with it, it slips out. And I should have cut that a little longer. So probably what I'll have to do is go in there with a sewing needle and thread, and stitch it. But you see, this makes a very nice selvage. Slip the first stitch purlwise, and knit across. See here, you can see this stuff is kind of worming its way out here. But anyway, so that's the cowl. Now, okay. And then you may say, what's with the cords? again with the cords. Well, these cords are extremely versatile. Now, this is a boiled wool vest. I had another sweater I was going to demonstrate this with, but it's a little bit loosely knit, and I wanted to be sure that this had some body to it. Now, I've just stitched in the, there were some little threads sticking out down at the bottom here, so I've stitched them in. This is going to obviously be my wrong side. And what you do with this is this. Now, so in other words, when Christmas is over, you can remove this, and then you're back to your regular sweater. But you can make a Christmas sweater temporarily. And it's hard to find a nice Christmas sweater. They used to have them all the time, and I don't know, it was part of the war on Christmas, but they stopped making them, and they stopped making, they also stopped making Christmas pins, but they seem to be back. Now, what I've done here, you've seen me use this red yarn before, and I just knotted this, but these are the three, let me put something white under here so you can see this. Oh, well, all right. These are 3 strands here. Let me get okay. These are 3 strands. This is a metallic with black, obviously. This is red cotton. And this is, you know, there's all kinds of novelty yarns that they make that you can buy. And you might not be able to always find them at AC Moore, but they're quite common, and you can get them at one of the yarn stores. And you know, sometimes it's a good thing to get something at one of the regular yarn stores, because if you run into trouble with your project, you can go back there if you have already bought something there, and they will help you. So even if you haven't bought the entire kit and caboodle, they probably will, you know. And so I really liked the way this came out. It was sort of reminded me of, you know, sometimes you see these plaids at Christmas. All right, so now I'm just doing this right now as you. So let's see what we shall do here. Okay, I like when I make these cords. I think something cool to do might be to make a bow like this, and now, of course, obviously you can make this much longer. And maybe you just want, let's make a little shorter tail on it. So, you know, we'll do a few things here, try a few little things. And then you can just simply bring this around and up the back, if you like, and come around the back so that you've now got this. Listen to this, Fred. Okay. You know, you can make it look as if you've got the tail, the ribbon on the cat's tail. Take it over the cat's head, or I kind of like that. I kind of like the way that looks, to tell you the truth. And then just bring this up. You can give it a loop and just let it come up in behind, and you know, there it is. You know, or you can come over here. Let's look at this fellow over here, this cat. We could just simply take, now this would have to be put on a yarn needle and drawn back through like I did with the other one. So just, and well, why don't I just snip this? Well, I can't take it too short. No, I better just leave it, because later on I'll want to. And you can just make a little curlicue like this. You can bring it across if you like. So, I mean, I also have the element of these images on the sweater. And I didn't have another black sweater to use, so I grabbed this one. So you do have the complication of, you know, of the images of the cats here. But imagining that this were just black, you can just make a little curlicue here and really do pretty much, you know, what you like. So I'm going to go back over where I had the cat's tail over here. Or I mean, for that matter, we can put it on the cat's head. But again, if you had a solid black sweater, you'd have more, you know, you'd have more flexibility, God knows. So let's put it here. Now, the other reason I wanted to use this cardigan was it's a little bit difficult to get underneath and sew if you're working on like a sweater with sleeves. All right, so I'm going to start here. I'm going to reach up. I'm going to go underneath. This is just ordinary sewing thread. So I'm going to just come down, come underneath, and this is just what they call tacking. Come up. Actually, you know what? I brought these pins, and I forgot all about that. I even had them. Yeah, we're going to pin this. I mean, if you're handy, you can do it without pinning, but let's pin it. Get into the pins. There we go. Now, last time on the last show, my little scissor went flying up in the air, but it was a close-up shot, and it just sort of suddenly disappeared. So, okay. Now again, when you make your own, cord, again, you can really do anything that you want with this, but. So I'm going to take this up like this, and I'm just going to show you basically about how you will tack this on. So then I come up underneath, right in the middle, back down. I can hold this. Wait a minute, let me do a better job at the pins here. Ouch. Ooh. Okay. Do a better job pinning this here. I just put a pin in there that slipped out somewhere. We'll have to see where it went. Okay. Right. And be mindful of the fact that you've got these, and you're going to have the sharp point of the pin will be up, so it won't be hitting you when you go underneath to do your stitching. So there's a pin there. Ouch. Gosh. And as you go, you will release the pins. And do one more here. And the beauty of these cords, these I cords, and I think you remember how to make these. You take a double-pointed needle, you cast on maybe 3 or 4 stitches, you knit across, ordinary knitting. Instead of turning around, well, let me do something here. Instead of talking about this, let me make sure people know what I'm talking about. Let me just pull this off for a moment and start over here. I may as well show this again in case somebody didn't see it. So I've got my double pointed needles right here. I'm going to cast on. This is called the long tail method. I'm just going to put on 3 stitches. 1, 2, 3. I've shown you that before. I'm going to be knitting with this. Go right here. I'm going to knit. And you want to give that, snug up those first stitches. Just snug it up right like that. And I don't know if my husband can get a little closer. He's helping me today. He's helped me before. He does a very good job. And so I finished my row right here. Now I'm going to I finished up here. I'm going to slide it. I'm going to take this back and I'm going to knit again. And I'm going to do all knitting, and because I'm on the same side all the time because of that sliding, I'm going to have a stockinette stitch. Sometimes at the beginning it's a little tricky to get this. There it goes. Okay. Now you can make these wider, but if you want it to be flexible, you don't want it to be too wide. And I'm just doing 3 here so that we can just sort of quickly do this. So there I am again. Okay, I'm slide it down. Slid down. Bring it from the back. Knit. And drawing that strand across the back closes up the back of the cord. And there my cord is starting, so you can see it. And sorry about that. As you can see, I was talking to you last week. I've bandaged up here. My cuticles are cracking and hurting. So, happens to the best of us. But I remember, I did recommend that you buy that Cutica, Q-T-I-C-A. It's at Ulta over in Foxborough at the Patriot Place. So there's the cord. Okay, so, all right. Let me put this aside. Okay, so I'm going to tack this. I mean, I probably should have used a better red, but I just grabbed the first red. And you're not really going to see it because this is kind of very close work. I mean, you're just going in and out. Oh, good. Very good, Mr. Rubin. Up. And down in. So I'm going to take this needle away, this pin rather. I'm just going to hold this. Come up. And back down. So you really don't need, I mean, even if I'd used black, I mean, there's black, and I could have used black just as easily, but. And then when you look on the back, that's what you see. Those are my stitches. You know what, there is a pin in, wait a minute. There is, oh gosh, you know, the pin had a red head on it, and I didn't even see it. Good thing I didn't notice it until I turned it over. Okay, so back, let me get my, okay. So, up, and sure I've got that where I want it, and back down. Now I've got a thick piece here, so I'm going to do several stitches here, and that's all there is to it. It's just as simple as that. Up and down, and when Christmas is over, you simply turn it over, you cut your stitches. Ouch. And there we go. Oops, stuck on my bandage. I mean, maybe you don't like a bow, but you can, as I say, you can turn this any way you want. Just pin it. Okay. And I'm going to just slip right over here because nobody's going to see these stitches. Come up. Okay, and here I am at my next pin, and we look on the other side. Okay, I'm going to release this. And so when you are finished with Christmas, you just go back here and you cut these stitches. Can you, oh gosh, they're not too visible, but they're, I think you can see it right there. I'm surprised that's so hard to see. There it is. So you just cut these, you just cut them, which I'm going to do now. It will release everything. Get rid of my, ooh. See, that went through some thick layers there. So then I just take it right off. I roll it up, and I wait for next Christmas, and I put on another sweater. And it's a great, I think it's a great idea. I haven't actually read of anybody doing this. I'm sure people do all the time. And there I am, and I unpin it, and I'm done for the year, and I put this away, and I do it next year, and there you are. So that's, I wanted to show you that. So that's something for you to do for yourselves. It's really easy to do. Now, okay, all right. Okie dokie. Let's get rid of this. All right. Now, okay, here I'm going to have Katie. This is a flower that I made a flower for you before. And you've seen it several times. It was a little bit more complicated to make than the one I'm going to show you. I just found this one, this pattern, and I found it in. Ooh, let me put these away before something happens. Okay. Okay, this is 150 knitted trims. This is very similar to what Nikki Epstein does. And I'll be talking about this in a few minutes. I went online and I looked up knitted flowers, and I found this, I mean, absolutely astonishing designer is on a website called Ravelry. That'll be on the screen as well. Her name is Frankie Brown, but that's for this. So I got this at AC Moore. If you sign up with them, they send you these huge coupons, 55% coupons, and you really can't beat this. And so the flower that I'm making, oh, and this is what did I say? Leslie Stanfield, and this is published by St. Martin's Griffin. And so this flower is here. Okay, so I think we can go back to our overhead shot, Mr. Rubin. So this is the one I'm making. And this is the easiest thing. It's the cutest little thing. And cute is not a word I usually use, but it's much easier to make than this one. And you can still, make your leaves and put it underneath. And you can still attach the pin like I did here. So let me go to this. And I'm going to close this. I'm going to have the directions will be on the screen, but this is so incredibly easy to make. Now, let me do a little of the knitting here. What you do, you cast on. I'm on the purl side, so let me finish my purl row. Now this yarn is cotton. This is called Sugar and Cream. And it's been around for 100 years, and this is something that my niece cast off, that she didn't want, and it dawned on me after I started it in yellow. There's a direction suggested you make it 2-color. So then I grabbed this. I said, well, because I did start it in yellow. You cast on 3 stitches, and then you. Right at the beginning, now right here you see me with 4. And then what you do is you cast on and you bind off, and that's what all these little things are here. All these little things, they look like they have a little ball on the end, but that's just part of it. And you cast these on and you bind these off. And it, like I said, I was going to start with yellow, and then this is acrylic. This is cotton and acrylic. You don't want to mix things, but I just, when I'm preparing for the show, it takes quite a bit of time, and I use what I have, assuming that you understand that you would, of course, pick your own colors and your own yarns, and your own size of needle. Now I just picked up this needle. It happens to be a 3, because I want it to be sort of firm. So now I'm going to do this particular cast on. This is not like the cast on that you've seen me do with the long tail that I did a few minutes ago. You just come through, and there's something here. Something's not right here. What is, okay. All right, so I'm going to knit this first stitch. I bring the loop through. I bring it back on, and I pull. I don't know what's going on here. Something got a little bunched up, but that's all right. I'm going to make 6. Now, the pattern called to cast on 4. I started with 4, and I went to 6 because I thought the outside of the flower, it'd be nice if the petals were a little longer. So come up here like this. All right, so this here. I try to watch in the monitor, so I'm doing this so you can see it, but I also have to keep an eye on what I'm doing. Okay, so there's 3. I'm going to do 3 more. Up, around, down, up. And this is the cast on that you use when you're in the middle of a project. The one that I've shown you is for the beginning. All right. So there's my 6 string. Now I'm going to bind these off and make another one of these little funny little petals. Give myself some room here. So I knit. I showed you this last time. Knit a second one. Pass this over the first, and there's one bound off. Here's my second bind off. I've got 2 stitches here. I take this one, bring it over the front, and I've got 1 again. Very good, Mr. Rubin. Over the front. And there I am. I'm now, and here's another one. And do pay attention when you do this that you're only going to go down. Okay, here's another one. Oops. Let's pick that up. You know what I think I'll show you another time is what to do when you've made a mistake and your stitches have fallen off. Okay, and now I've got one last one here because I want to end with 4. There it is. There it is. There's that little guy. There. And now I've got 4 stitches, so I've got 1 on the needle. I'm going to go 1, 2, 3. Now, on this particular pattern, now I go back. I'm going to purl back. There's the purl. There's the purl side. But you can see that. It's easier to see with these colors. Now, they tell you to do 10 of one color and 24 of another. But once you have this variegated yarn, I mean, that would be like you'd end up making 34 little petals. It seems like a lot to me. So I'm going to start, I'm going to go back, and I'm going to go back with my, and purl back. Okay. I hope this nail polish isn't too distracting and gaudy, all right? And I'm going to bind this off, and I'm going to show you how you make the flower. You coil it up, but you have to sew it as you go. All right, so now I'm binding off. Now I'm making this right now. This is the first time I have actually made this flower. I started this at home, obviously, but I have not made one of these as a prototype to see how it ends up, so we'll see. Okay, all right, so now I cut this. And you know, you really want to leave a long thread. You never know when you're going to need it. Now, so I started down here, and this was the beginning, okay? So I should have left a longer thread, but and you know, when you're making something like this where it's all kind of hidden, I mean, you know, if you're going to knot your thread and put a new, you know, more thread on there, it's not a yarn rather, it's not a big deal. But, and this is a stainless steel yarn needle. Now, I must have purchased 100 of these in my lifetime. This is the only one I can find right now. Isn't that ridiculous? And I had another one here, a blue one, if you remember. I don't know where that went. All right, so I've already coiled this up and stitched it. So now I'm going to continue to roll this. I'm going to go under here. Okay, take it down. All right. Roll some more. Under here. Oops, okay. All right, let me, okay, I think I can do a couple more stitches with this before I have to. In fact, I'm just going to start anew. I know that the teacher should. Okay. Oops. Oh, get out of there. Okay. Okay. And you see how this is coming out. I just think this is I just think that's the cutest little thing. And you see how big this thing is going to get. Actually, it's going to be kind of. All right, I'm gonna knot this off and finish, and go to another strand of yarn here. Now, what you would do with this is, because you will be able, because since you've got this nice little base, you will be able to sew your pin. Your safety pin right on the back there. Now, for this, I would say this would be good for a coat, and I would say it would be good for, okay, there's my slip knot. Okay, let me make another one to make sure. I tell you what I would do. I would go to Kohl's, and I would buy a felted hat, like a felt beret, and I would stick this right on the beret, so it's right here. That's what I would do with this. I would, and I mean, I'm telling you, people just adore something handmade. They just go crazy. So now you want to keep this. Let me see if I can get these out of the way there. You know what? I'm just going to snip these off. Normally I would wind them in, but since I want you to be able to see what's going on here. Now you notice I've got the knit side in. Okay, so here we go again. Here's another roll. I'm going to come up here and down, stitch it. And again. So you get the idea. And you could use, you could actually use, go take it down, you could actually use a regular needle and thread for this. And that, you have to see what your yarn, what you're using. So here I am, and I'm just going to continue on around here and make sure I've caught every little bit. You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to cut these off so they're not in the way here. And so there you are. And I just think this is so very easy to do. It's just great. Let me bring it down. I'm going to roll it again. I've got a lot of other stuff to show you. Now, when you go to sew your safety pin on, so there it is. You see, so this is gonna continue to come on around. Let me just kind of fix this up quickly here. And then it goes around. I'm just gonna get the last little bit of it. I'm just gonna kind of slip through here. And tack it like this. I mean, I would rather do a more careful job, but I want you to see. Good God, here's another. Oh, this was on the end here. There you go. And as you make these, you will get better and better at this. Now, this is the first time I've made this. Okay, so. There's your little, get this guy out of, well, this, okay, that doesn't belong under there. I mean, if I work a little more carefully and slowly, I would, But there's your flower, and I just think it looks great. I started with the shorter petals. So on the back, then you would turn this over. Let's just run this through just one more time. And then you would get your safety pin. You want to get a decent size safety pin. And you just sew the safety pin. I'd be better with the bigger one. Let me just to show you. Sorry, I should have gotten these out ready. Sorry. Okay. And you're just going to sew it. Now, there's the opening, so you want to sew it so that, and then you just sew it right on there. And again, I think for sewing this, you might want to use the sewing yarn, a sewing thread, which is much thinner. But this is what you do. And there it is. And there's your pin. One more. I don't know. I would really love to have. I mean, I'm gonna make sure I've got this done proper. I'm gonna use this myself. And there it is. So it just gets pinned right on, like that. Let me put a little knot in this to secure it. Got a little too much thread here. And there it is. Let's see. Now, again, if you had used, well, I could have used my sewing thread here, but again, so you would just take this and put it on like this. There it is. I don't know if you can come in and get a good shot of that, but I think this would look great on a hat. I mean, it's just a crazy little, like a little chrysanthemum. Now, moving right along, just get this guy. Okay. Now, here is something else that I saw. I modified this a little bit, again with the cords. What this is, I made a small one here. Clear myself over here so I know what I'm doing. Okay, all right. Okay, all right. Okay. This is a mitten without a thumb. Now, before I came over here, I'll explain about the cord in a minute. Before I came over, I was looking around on the internet and looking at some other books, and there apparently is a way to make this with a sort of a thumb, look like a little edge to put your thumb in here. So it's not just a hole, but this is just a hole. And this is some yarn that was made in England that, again, my niece tossed to me, cast off. And I think I'm going to, actually make these for myself. So the pattern that I saw, stick this up in here. The pattern that I saw did this a little differently. I'm going to show you what I did. I did knit 2, purl 2. Now this was originally flat, and it was supposed to have been, if you measure across your hand, this is about 4 inches. So you were going to make a piece 8 by however long you wanted it. On the original pattern, they didn't show as long of a cuff, and I would actually like an even longer cuff, but I need to get these things made so you can, so I can show them to you. So I maybe don't always do as much as I might for time considerations. Now, This is too small for me, but I'm going to just stick my hand in here and just show you. It's tight because I made a small one. And this is what it amounts to. Now you say, well, gee, what about your fingers? And your fingers are the part that gets cold. Well, you know, your hands get cold too, and your palms get cold, and when you're, and I thought about, so what I did was, this is hemmed here. This was all flat, hemmed here, seamed rather, I should say, seamed, opening, seamed, and then I finished with half the amount of ribbing here that I put down here, just as a design element. And then, so I made, and on the original pattern, now this is what I've got here, this is where just using this to hold my stitches on my, that was on my cord here that I made. And I took, now somehow this came back out, but I went through the end of that cord. I pulled, actually I think this is the yarn I started with, so I'm gonna thread this needle, and the only way you really can do this is to pinch it and pull it through. So I'm gonna go in, I'm gonna secure that, and now again, like I just showed you with the cat sweater, I'm going to use this and make a little decoration on here. So let me take this, let me pull this through, clip this. Oops. Oh boy. Things don't want to stay on this table. Oh dear. Okay. I don't think I need those for anything else, I hope. So I'm going to just go right through here and go through these loops and pick this up in there, get in there, and finish this off. Okay, so there, now, okay, that's done. All right. Now, back to this. So I'm going to take this and say, well, let's see, what shall I do with this? Well, actually, first thing I better do, so I don't have all these ends, is run this through so you don't see this anymore. So I'm going to go through the back. This is, you really you can't really see it, but this is the back here where that thread comes across and closes up the tube. And I'm just going to go like this and pull it. And that's the end of my, that's that. Okay, make sure I've got it flat. Cut this. Okay, so now, and I mean, of course, you don't have to do this, but I thought it would be nice, so I'm going to just make a little coil like this. Now let me pin it. Now, I did not bring any purple now, what I should have done, actually, and you're probably thinking this, is I could have done this when it was flat, before I seamed it, but I wanted you to at least see how this was made. So get in here. But it would have been easier, certainly, to have done this when it was flat. And I'm going to use the same, as a matter of fact, I think I actually might use, I'm going to use the same technique that I did before with the tacking, which is just in and out. And, you know, I could have made a heart. I mean, I could have made this longer. I could have had other things, but let's just make a simple swirl. concentric. Get that one to go down in the middle. Now, so, you know, if I could have done this, maybe I should have done this flat and then, showed you, I was sewing it up, but I figured in the case that maybe you didn't want to do all this, you'd at least see how it was. Put another pin there. They sell these plastic pins that, for knitters to pin things with, and I have them as well somewhere, but I don't like the way that looks. Let me see if I can get that to come around like that. There we go. So this is kind of chunky and thick, so it's okay. All right, and then I suppose I could just take this yarn and start tacking it down. So I go under here. No worries about matching. I'm using the same yarn. Now so this is where it started. So when I snug this up, this automatically snugs this down. And then I just go like this. I don't have to do it in any particular order. Completely invisible. Go over here. And of course, obviously, eventually, I will go through the whole swirl here. And it's possible to do it like this. It's not as easy as if it were flat, but you get the idea. So there I am. And if you wanted to put a little crystal in the middle there, you could do that. So there's my mitten, and and then I'll have another one. I can make the exact same one. Obviously, it would be this way for the other hand. There was something else I did want to mention about this. I'd forgotten. Okay, so there we go. Alrighty, very good. They have every crazy thing under the sun at Michaels and A.C. Moore, and I don't know. Personally, people go there and they make these things, these elaborate things, and they haul them out for all the holidays, and but I'm sure what they have over there is little things, little crystals that are sticky, and if you wanted to, you could get these little crystals, these little stick-on crystals, and put them on a few of the little tips of these petals to make it look a little more festive. They also sell, if this is your thing, they also sell these sort of glitters that you can buy, but do be careful when you apply the glue that it doesn't make a mess on the cotton. But nobody's going to look at that and say, oh my God, why does this thing go this way and this comes up? It's just going to make a really nice effect. Now, okay, I want to talk to you now. Speaking of knitted flowers, again, I did go online and I just Googled knitted flowers, and there is a website, and again, this will also be at the bottom of the screen. There's a crazy website called Ravelry. I guess it's supposed to be a play on the word revelry. And it is enormous and very complicated. and you can find practically everything under the sun on it. It's huge. You have to be a member. In the old days, they had to send you a password and you had to wait, blah, blah, blah. But you can just go and log in now. And on Ravelry, there's all these patterns. There's explanations, there's things you can buy, there's patterns you can buy, there are free patterns. And what I have here, I saw this, pinwheel flowers. Now, I printed this out, and this is somebody named Frankie Brown. And I've got all the addresses back here. I'll put those down. I didn't know whether Frankie was a man or a woman, but one on Pinterest. Now, Pinterest is another website that's not just about knitting like Ravelry is, but it's all different sorts of things to do and make and so forth. So this Frankie Brown is on Pinterest.com, a crafty gal, so it is a woman, 1965. I don't know what that's her particular that's her little site on Pinterest, and these are a continuous strip of garter stitch triangles, folded as you go to make petals. I have not done this yet, but I'm going to do this, and so they can be used as brooches or decorations, or you can add a stalk and leaves and knit a whole bouquet. Now, if you want to look over top here, because Katie's going to turn this around as well. They show you. Here's all the instructions here. And then they say, add a stalk and leaves. You might choose to give your flowers more petals or use 4-ply to make a tiny flower. But I wanted to mention this to you, which I would never have thought of this. Now, she's got the abbreviations here, which every pattern should have. The abbreviation should be at the bottom in a little glossary. And this is showing you how to make this stalk. And what you do is, this is using the long tail method, which is what I used in the beginning. You cast on stitches. She suggests a number of stitches. Work 3 rows in stockinette. And then they tell you to take a pipe cleaner. I haven't seen a pipe cleaner because I can't remember when. But to take this and stitch this over the pipe cleaner. Now what this will do is you'll now have unlike this, which is loose and sort of floppy, now you're going to have a stem that's stiff that you can make it long and put it in a vase if you want it, or you can kind of shape it and it will stay the way you made it. So this person is absolutely unbelievable. The things that she has come up with, amazing. She has little hedgehogs that you can make. She has a Christmas wreath and shows you all the different things that you can knit and put into this wreath on a form. It's just absolutely amazing. So it's at Ravelry.com/patterns/library/pinwheel flowers. And then there's also a page that's just this woman, Frankie Brown. So you will not believe, this woman is just absolutely a genius. I mean, it's things that are just absolutely fabulous and pretty complicated. Now, okay, last time I oh yeah, this is where I was, okay. Last time I showed you I was making a little Christmas tree, and I was going to show you how to do the French knots. Okay, so what I did with this, oops, let me go like this here. Okay. Now what I did here was I started with 2 stitches, and every 3rd row I added on a stitch at each end to create this little tree. Now, obviously you would use green. Oops, sorry. And now, so I've gotten to the bottom here. This is all garter. So what I have done, I bound off, I think 4 stitches here. So I'm going to now, knit back across. continue knitting. I'm shaping the bottom of the tree, and this would be something else that you could make as a brooch. So knit across, ordinary garter. And then go back. See, I just cut this while I was here to use this to show. I'm going to bind off again. I just might luck out here. And this will be the bottom of the tree, and I'll show you where the little trunk will go. It's got about 4 minutes. Well done, Mr. Rubin. All right. Oh, God help me. I just have barely enough here to pull this through. Okay. But when you do this, you're not going to do this. You're going to have it. All right. And so now I've got, what you will do is you'll pick up in here. You'll pick up here. You'll add another strand of yarn, and you can make your little trunk here. Now let me just show you, and this will just be pulled in on the side. Now, let me just show you these French knots very quickly. I didn't have any red. I used to do embroidery. I'm not too crazy about it. And last week I showed you ribbon that's used in ribbon embroidery, which kind of wasn't much point to that because they've stopped making it, and you can get it online, but it's become very, very expensive. So let me see if I can quickly thread this needle. Okay, I'm going to use it double, knot it here at the end, and show you the French knot. Do I have a few minutes, Mr. Rubin? Okay. All righty. So, come up. I would go right through a strand. Okay. You take this, you wrap this, I'm going to just pull this off. You wrap this 3 times. I wrap it 3 times. I go back down very close to where I came in. And there's my French knot. Oh, thank you, God. There's my French knot. So once you make and you can make you can certainly make a bigger tree than this. And there's my French knot. I'll make one more before we say goodbye, Merry Christmas and all that. So 3 times, take it down, right back where I almost, not in the same hole obviously, and just let it kind of fall in, and there you are. So there are your French knots, which you can put inside of a flower, or as here there's sort of golden Christmas tree balls. Well, it's time for the class is over. I just want to thank my husband Reuben and Katie Woodhams, who's working on the show with me. Thanks to everybody who's watched. The other day I was very thrilled by the fact that a couple of people recognized me and they said how much they liked the show, and I hope everybody who's watching it likes it and you've learned some things or you've gotten some ideas for resources. I want to wish you all a very, very Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. And I want to just tell you, it gives me great joy to be your teacher here at the Norfolk Knitting School. I'm Anne-Marie Battistone, and you've been watching Norfolk Public Access. Thanks for being with me again.
My darling, shoo-up, shoo-ah, my bee. Shoo-up, shoo-ah, my sugar, shoo-up, up, my little butterbean.
Down diddy down da down da down diddy diddy down diddy down da down do I do it down diddy down da down. You're so pretty down diddy down da down. Ain't down, 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 down.